Check out the Male Advantage paperback, ebook, and audiobook using the links below. Okay guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about female body counts and if they're a problem or not. Okay, so I know a lot of guys talk about this issue and you know, it's something that we're all concerned with. Like, are we going to be the guy that ends up meeting the woman that got ran through by everybody in her city, her town, whatever? She got a history. Like, it obviously, you know, it's something you're concerned about because you're like, I don't want to be that mug that ends up marrying the woman that. And obviously, you guys know I don't promote marriage, but you know, some guys obviously do go down that route. And I think that's every guy's worst nightmare. He's just ended up marrying the village slut or something that everybody else is, you know, ran through at a different point, and now she's cleaned her act up, but you know, it's almost trickery. I know a lot of women like this, okay? I know a lot of women that are now married, okay? They've got the wedding photos going out on Instagram and stuff like that, and they look like pretty little angels, okay? Like they've never done anything ever, and I know 3 ways, 4 ways that they've had. I know some of the filthy stuff that they've done with myself. I know that if I look at the dates of those pictures, that they were sleeping with me while they were dating that individual. And you just go, fuck me, that poor guy. That poor guy has absolutely no idea what he's got himself in for. I know a girl that slept with like probably 400 or 500 guys in a fucking year. She's an absolute nightmare. Like the plumber would come round she was in like uni halls, and the plumber would come round and she'd just go downstairs in lingerie. It didn't even matter what the plumber looked like. She was just like right upstairs. I think she was just like a sex addict or whatever. And any time of day, night, whatever, if you literally message this girl, she was like, yeah, come round. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was bad. Like when we were all really, really young. And I think now she's in a relationship, been in a long-term relationship for like 3 years with this guy, and he's like doing all the Valentine's Day stuff, the Christmas gifts, taking her on holiday, probably going to propose, and you're just like, fuck, this poor guy. He has no idea, and I know anybody can change, but that sucks, okay? And nobody wants to end up in that scenario. But I don't think it's as concrete, in that scenario as concrete, but let's protect the women here a little bit, because I don't think it's as concrete as her number's 20, she's a hoe. Okay, I don't think it's as concrete as that. I think you've got to put context on every scenario. Now, every guy wants a perfect 10, you know, virgin that's only ever slept with you. That would be lovely, right? That's like the ideal scenario for every guy ever. But it's just not plausible in this era with the access to men that women have and stuff like that. It's just not plausible, okay? So we got to put some context on this scenario. Now, let's say, I'll use 2 scenarios. If a woman is 21 years old and she slept with 20 guys already, is that an issue? In my opinion, yes, because I think she hasn't had enough time to really spread those numbers out. You know, if she first started having sex at, let's say, 16, you know, most people kind of do, 16 to 18, most women. You think if, you know, best case scenario for her, it was 16, she's had 5 years, so that means that she's been sleeping with 4 guys every single year for, like I said, the last 5 years, okay? That's not that bad, but if she hasn't been in a relationship with any of them, she's just been enjoying them, like every 3 months she sleeps with a different guy. When you put some context on that, if she is really beautiful, you go, that's not too bad. But how many relationships were in that? Because if she's managed to fit one in every 3 months, there's no relationships there, so she's like really into the short-term thing, you know, that would be a little bit of a problem for me, okay? Whereas if you look at it as like, this woman is 26 years old, she slept with 20 guys, you go, oh, she's a hoe. And you're like, well, no, hang on, let's put some serious context on this, okay? If she started at 16, that's a 10-year window. So let's say it's 2 guys every single year. Or if she's absolutely stunning and she's getting loads of options all the time, well, she's done pretty well to keep that down to 2 a year. Now let's put some proper context on this. How many relationships has she had? Let's say at 16, she had a relationship or let's say she had sex for the first time, random guy. Girls do this all the time, okay? Like the first guy they ever do it with, maybe it's somebody that she trusted, like a friend that she didn't know whether she liked or not. Okay, she just got that one out of the way. That's one down. she was just like, oh, I don't know about that. I kind of want more intimacy. I'm going to get in a relationship with the next guy that I'm with. Okay, gets in a relationship. 6 months later, he's just fallen apart. He's broken her heart. First guy that's ever cheated on her. She goes and sleeps with a friend of his to get payback. Okay, she's young, she's immature, she's silly. Do you know what I mean? She's three up at this point. So over the next year, she could just be like trying to find that relationship again. Like, I want that contact again. So then she gets tricked into sleeping with two guys. Two guys that like get in her ear and they're like, yeah, I'll take care of you, babe. He was an asshole, whatever. She gets tricked. She does it twice. She learns a lesson, but she's 5 down. Okay. She steps away now. She's like, oh, my numbers are going up. I'm feeling terrible. I'm feeling like a little bit of a whore. She's like 18 years old. She finally meets a decent guy, has a relationship for a year with this guy, and it falls apart, okay? Then she misses the intimacy. She goes and, has sex with some other guy that she's met. It's a little bit more spontaneous on a night out, but she's like, I just needed that contact again. I haven't had it in so long. She's up to 7. You see what I mean here, guys? Okay, and now she doesn't want to fall into the same pattern. She gets in a relationship for 2 years. She gets to 20 years old. That relationship falls apart. She's now up to like 8 guys. Okay, and then she thinks, well, I'm 20 years old, I'm going to move areas. She moves to the big city. She gets a higher quality of men. She ends up bumping into 2 guys that are of a level that she's never really seen before. She ends up sleeping with them in the first month. She's just experimenting with the new city, what it's all about, different types of guys. Maybe she's from a small village and there's different cultures of guys in this new city that she's moved to and different races, and she's just like, I want to experiment a little. Okay, now she's up to 10. And she's only like 20, 21 years old. Okay, over those next 5 years, it's plausible. Like I said, she can have more relationships. And, if you break it down like that and you go, yeah, actually, it's not really this girl's fault. She hasn't really done anything out of the norm there. Like, she has numbers that are 20 guys. And on the surface, you're going to frown at that and be like, fuck, she slept with 20 guys. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm number 21. Is she a bit of a hoe? And you're never going to dig into it, right? You're never going to ask her, okay, give me your blueprint. Like, who did you sleep with? What year were you in a relationship? But that's the thing, you don't know, okay? So once it's given context, which you probably won't end up getting, but once it's given context, and she'll tell you some stories about exes and stuff, like while you're together. Of course you will. You get close, like, oh, my ex used to live down there and stuff like that. Like, you might get little stories. Once you get that kind of context, like, it doesn't look that bad. Like, if a woman slept with 20 guys, like I said, by 26, and 5 of those guys have been relationships, and then 5 of those guys have been rebounds straight off the back of a relationship because she felt insecure, like women do. 2 or 3 of those guys were mistakes when she was young, and then in recent history she slept with 5 very, very high quality men, and they really swept her off her feet and took like 6 weeks to sleep with her. Well, then when you add up those numbers, you're like, yeah, suddenly 20 doesn't sound that bad. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I was judging it, but in reality, she's made mistakes when she was young. She's been in a lot of relationships, which means that, they were long term. The guys that it was kind of like a one night stand, or, a little bit more than that, maybe a couple of weeks, they played her and they got in her head when she was young and she was seeking a relationship. She really wanted it. They promised her the world and then cheated on her and fucked off. Well, she's just added a number to her tally and she's like, well, shit, I wanted a long term relationship. So that's not her fault. She's added a number, but that's not her fault. Do you see what I mean, guys? She wanted a relationship with that guy. She probably wanted to get married, have kids, etc. If 3 or 4 guys cheat on a woman in a row, what's she supposed to do? Stick around and be like, well, I don't want my numbers to go up. So her numbers could be going up because of us. Because we fucked her about. Told her, we got in her ear and we're like, babe, I love you. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we're going all the way together. Like, this is going to be long term. I'm just past all that now. I'm really committed. As soon as the guy busts, he's like, I'm out of here. If she gets that done to her, like I said, 5, 6, 7 times, might be really gullible. Like, she gets that done to her like 5, 6 times in 10 years, plus a couple of long-term relationships and, 1 or 2 rebounds here and there. She's going to have like 15, 20 guys that she slept with by her like mid-20s. Put some context on that. I don't think it's that bad. So, in terms of like body counts, if a woman's got a high body count, is it a bad thing? It needs context. It needs context. And I think you can tell a certain type of woman, okay? I think when they're like, you know, like we all know women that have slept with like 50 odd guys, 100 guys, 200 guys. Like, just stay away from them. I just think that's bad news, okay? But if the average woman's number is like 10 to 20, something within that range, and you know, you can't deal with that in this era, it's not that bad, guys, once you add the context. Like I said, they're seeing more guys more often. They're in more long-term relationships. They're more open to like testing things out or whatever. Or, like, they go on holiday and they had sex with one guy, and that was like, it's just one holiday per year and it adds up. Do you know what I mean? She was a bit drunk. She wanted to have a bit of fun. I don't really see it as that much of a problem, okay? So, in terms of female body counts, yeah, look, we'd all love women to be virgins and whatever, but I think you've got to add some level of maturity, some context to it, and I think you've got to put some level of understanding on it as well, like her scenario, what she might have been through, okay? Because it could be the same, like, for a guy, like, oh, he's been rejected by 200 women, he's a loser. It's like, yeah, but he's not now. Like, there's different scenarios, do you know what I mean, guys? Or 4 of his relationships went wrong in the past. Like, he cheated. Yeah, well, he could change. Like, we want that. We want people to think of us like that. So, I do think we should put some context on it in that sense, you know? It's not always as black and white as just the number. Like, 2 women could both sleep with 20 guys. One's a bit of a hoe. The other one's actually a really decent woman. She just got fucked about by the wrong men. That's entirely plausible, okay? So when it comes to female body counts, because I've been asked this question before, is it a problem when meeting a woman? Look, you want it to be as low as possible. Of course you do. You want it to be a straight 10. You want it to be 22 years old and 0, like, she slept with 0 men, 1 in a relationship, you know, something like that. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel, like, secure. But it's time to grow up. I think it's time to grow up. We're in a different era, like, you know. I think the level of man matters as well. I think that's the other thing I would add to that. If I was going to sleep with a girl and I found out she'd slept with a guy that was like a 4 out of 10, I'd be like, well, I'm not going there, because you've obviously got low standards. I'd be like, if anybody can get it, I don't want it. Whereas if, like, her last 3 boyfriends were like Drake, some billionaire's son, do you know what I mean? Like a Formula 1 driver and an up and coming tennis pro, and then it's me, I'd be like, oh yeah, like, this, I can't blame this woman. It's impossible to blame this woman. How could she turn down those 4 guys? Like, she had to take that opportunity. They were on her level. They were above her level. Like, she had to entertain it, okay? These guys pre-qualified. And then I'd think, hey, I must be on that level too. You know, in that sense, I can take that based on the men that she slept with. But if it's, like I said, if it's just like all these low-level guys that you think you're way above them and she's been sleeping with them, I'd be like, no, you got no standards. Like, where's my securities to say that you wouldn't cheat on me with just anybody? Like, I don't want to be rich as fuck with a gardener and a pool boy. You know, maybe I'm just thinking down the porn avenue here, but she's cheating with them. You know, the pizza boy shows up with his spots and she sleeps with him because she's just like, I'll take any dick. That's what you don't want, okay? But if you've got a woman with really high standards and there's only like 0.5% of men on planet Earth that could possibly even have a chance with her if she gave them a chance, you know, you're a lot more secure in that scenario than a girl that's just like, I've slept with 2s, 10s, 5s, 8, like, you know, any guy. I've slept with fat guys. I've slept with this. And you're just like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? Like, you've literally got no standards. So that's the 2 kind of caveats that I would put on that discussion. So if you guys are worried about like body counts and whatever, that's my opinion on it, okay? Add some context to it. You know, I guess you could do a little bit of research before you get with the girl or whatever, but just don't take the number too seriously. Like, take age into account, take the high quality of men into account, or the quality of men into account, and take the scenarios. Like, how many boyfriends has been there? How many guys have cheated on her where she just got like her body count up and the relationship ended up ending early? So she was with him for 2 months and he cheated, so she had to move on and find someone else. That's not her fault. She's just added 2 in quick succession where she just wanted to be with the one. You know, so think about it in those terms, guys, okay? Check out the Male Advantage paperback, ebook, and audiobook using the links below.